7. That is how many times Arnold Schwarzenegger won the Mr. Olympia. 6. That is how many times Chris Bumstead has won the Classic Physique Olympia. Here is what makes this comparison unlike any other in bodybuilding history. Cbum's division, Classic Physique, exists specifically to recreate what Arnold built. The proportions, the waist, the flow. The specific aesthetic that Arnold defined in 1970 and that nobody matched for 50 years. Until Cbum. This video does not tell you who was better, it tells you how both of them got there. And then you train both ways. Here is something most people do not know about Arnold Schwarzenegger. He grew up in Thal, a village so small it did not have indoor plumbing when he was a child. His father Gustav was a police chief. His mother Aurelia wanted him to become a trade worker. No one in Arnold's family had any reason to think their son would become anything unusual. And then, at 14, Arnold saw a magazine. Reg Park, Mr. Universe, 3-time champion. The specific photograph of a bodybuilder's physique that Arnold taped to his bedroom wall in a village in Austria with no gym. He has said in interviews that in that moment he saw his entire future. Not hoped, saw. He started training in a gym in Graz. He was so committed that he broke into the gym on weekends when it was closed, through a window, to train. At 15, he was doing this. A 15-year-old breaking into a gym to train without supervision on weekends because the gym was closed and he could not wait. That specific detail, the broken window, the empty gym, the 15-year-old who could not stop, is the first answer to how 7 Olympia titles happen. Not talent, not genetics, the inability to wait for permission. Here is what Arnold understood about bodybuilding that nobody before him had fully weaponized. The competition happens twice, once on stage, once in the backstage. The physical competition, the muscles, the symmetry, the conditioning, is only half of what wins Olympia. The other half is the psychological competition, making the other competitors believe before they walk on stage that the result is already decided. Arnold was a master of both. He trained with a volume and intensity that his competitors found physically difficult to match. The Golden Six, the high rep sets, the pump he achieved before walking on stage. But he also trash-talked. He laughed during their poses. He told Lou Ferrigno in Pumping Iron that Lou's best was not good enough, deliberately, the night before the competition. He made Ferrigno doubt himself in the final hours. And then he walked on stage and won. The body was the product, the psychology was the weapon. Arnold brought both to every stage. And here is the specific lesson that nobody teaches about the 7 Olympia titles. 5 of them were won before any competitor stepped under the competition lights, because Arnold had already won the room. Between 1970 and 1975, 6 consecutive Olympia titles, the most dominant run in Open Olympia history until Lee Haney matched it. And then, 1975, retirement. And then, 1980, comeback. The 1980 Olympia is one of the most controversial bodybuilding results in history. Arnold entered without telling his competitors he was coming back until weeks before the show. The other competitors, who had spent years training for the title that Arnold had vacated, suddenly had to face the possibility that the man who defined the standard had simply decided to come back and take it again. He won, the 7th title, the most debated win of his career. And here is what matters about that debate. The specific reason the 1980 Olympia controversy is the most interesting chapter in Arnold's legacy. It revealed something that the previous 6 titles had not needed to. Arnold did not compete to win. Arnold competed because the sport was his. He did not ask permission to return. He announced himself. 7th title. Done. The debate about whether he deserved it has run for 45 years. That debate is part of the legacy. The legacy that Cbum inherited. Here is what Arnold Schwarzenegger's career proves. The vision is not enough. The gym is not enough. The genetics, which were extraordinary, are not enough. What Arnold added to all 3 was the specific psychological conviction that the result was not in question, not confidence, certainty. He did not believe he would win, he knew. And that knowing, translated into every training session, every backstage moment, every pose, is what the 7 trophies actually represent. Here is the question for you. Not about bodybuilding, about the thing you are building. Is it belief, which requires evidence, or certainty, which requires only the decision. Arnold broke into a gym at 15 with no evidence that it would produce anything. He just decided it would, and then he trained until the world agreed. There is only one person in the sport he built who has approached that specific combination, the vision, the work, the certainty, in the modern era. That person is who we talk about next. 7 Olympia titles, the body that defined an era, the governor of California, Hollywood's biggest action star, a training philosophy, the Golden Six, that is still the most practiced bodybuilding method 50 years after it was written. And this, the Classic Physique division, created in 2016 by the IFBB specifically to recreate the proportions that Arnold built in the 1970s. The division exists because the standard Arnold set is the one the sport still considers the ideal. Not modern mass, not extreme conditioning. Arnold's proportions, Arnold's flow, Arnold's waist. The 2016 decision to create Classic Physique is the most unambiguous tribute the sport of bodybuilding has ever paid to a single athlete. It said, "This body, Arnold's body, is the aesthetic standard. Build this and you will be the champion." The person who built it most completely is the person we are about to discuss. Here is something about Chris Bumstead that the highlight reels never show. He almost did not start, not because he lacked the talent, because he lacked the direction. At 14, his brother-in-law Ian Valliere, a competitive bodybuilder, introduced him to training. Cbum was already naturally athletic. The body responded almost immediately. But here is the specific detail that separates Cbum's origin from every other bodybuilder's origin. He did not look at Arnold and decide to become a bodybuilder. He looked at Classic Physique, the new division created in 2016 specifically to recreate what Arnold built, and decided that was the standard he was made for. Not the open stage, Classic. Because Cbum understood something about his own body that most athletes take years to discover. He was built for proportion, not mass. Long limbs, narrow waist, broad shoulders. The specific physical architecture that the Arnold standard requires. He entered Classic Physique at 19. He was runner-up in his first Olympia attempt. He was 20 years old, second in the world at 20. And he has said since that the silver medal showed him something more valuable than the gold would have. It showed him exactly what he needed to build. The engine that Cbum runs from is not rejection, it is precision. He does not train from anger, he trains from architecture. The specific understanding of what the ideal requires and the relentless daily work of closing the distance between where he is and where the ideal is. Here is what Cbum does in the gym that no other Classic Physique competitor does. He does not train to be bigger, he trains to be more proportional. The difference is everything. Arnold trained for mass first, the Golden Six, the volume, the pump. The mass produced the proportions. Cbum trains for proportions first. Every exercise chosen because of what it does to the visual relationship between his waist, his shoulders, his arms, his legs. He trains back width, not back thickness. He trains shoulder caps, not shoulder boulders. He trains the specific muscles that create the illusion of a smaller waist without actually reducing the waist. The specific training intelligence required to build a body around an ideal rather than building a body and hoping it matches the ideal is what distinguishes Cbum's system from everyone else's. He has said in interviews that he reviews photographs of his own physique from specific angles after every training block to identify which proportion is off, and then adjusts the training accordingly. He is not training muscles. He is training a visual argument. And the visual argument he is making is, this is what the Arnold standard looks like, rebuilt by someone who was born 50 years after Arnold and trained specifically to recreate it. Arnold built it in 1970. Cbum won it 6 times in the 2020s, the same proportions, the same waist, the same flow. 50 years apart. Tomorrow, Golden Classic conditioning system, Arnold's press and curls, Cbum's incline and lateral work. 2 methods, 1 physique ideal. This is Legends Built. Subscribe. The debate stays open. Your training does not.